Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel. Today we have a fantastic conversation with Vittorio from VMware. Vittorio, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I've looked forward to this discussion as I watch many of your public appearances at events and on video. So great to meet you. For the audience, maybe introduce yourself and your role at VMware, which of course needs no introduction.
I am Vittorio Viarengo. I've been with the company on and off 14 years. I was in product organization, running product management, and I was born again in the cloud. A couple of startups, and then I came back, and I've been driving the strategy for our cross-cloud services over the last 3 years.
Well, it's been an interesting time to say the least to drive strategy through this momentous time, in digital and in cloud technology. So give us a snapshot of the landscape. What you're very close to customers. You're out and about again after, a tough year plus two at COVID with COVID. What are customers grappling with, and what are you seeing firsthand as their main challenges?
I think that the customers that I talk to and that we survey with formal studies, they've been going crazy with the cloud because the cloud was the path of least resistance. The developers found the innovation there. They found ways to build applications, front office applications, creating new digital experiences that let's go cloud first. But after a few years of doing it, because developers like choice and because large organizations have multiple business units, most organizations now find themselves with two or more clouds, including their private cloud. And what that brings is what we call cloud chaos. And that brings up cost and slow organizations down because each cloud brings their own way of building application, managing applications, securing applications. And so I think customers right now are grappling with that chaos and they're looking for solution to make sense of this complex environment that they ended up with.
Yeah, chaos is not a good thing. So let's be clear. That's a tough one. So multi-cloud, as a definition, as a marketing term, as a way of thinking, has that really emerged as the new de facto default way of deploying in the real world the last few years? Is that what you're seeing?
Well, the data shows that 75 to 85% of customers use two or more clouds. And I think IT history repeats itself.
Hmm.
If you go back 15 years ago, you would talk to a customer that would say, "Oh, we are an HP shop." Another
Hmm.
customer will say, "I'm a Dell shop." "Oh no, I only buy Sun's hardware." And then after a while, because all these vendors provide new innovation, people mix and match and eventually end up with a very heterogeneous environment. And at VMware, we really thrive in that environment. In the private cloud, we use virtualization to make everything look the same and unleash tremendous savings and agility for our customers. In the cloud, I think the same is happening. All these clouds are innovating, and then customers, as we said, end up with multiple clouds. I think we have an opportunity as a company to bring our DNA to bear and help our customers make sense of that by creating a new level of abstraction, which is higher than the hypervisor. It's at the lingua franca of multi-cloud, which is Kubernetes, microservices, APIs, and create an abstraction layer that allows our customers to have a single way, unified way of building, managing, running, accessing, and securing any applications across any cloud. We call that our cross-cloud services platform.
So let's look at that. What does that entail? I imagine it's products and solutions and professional services. What does that look like as a VMware customer?
Well, we are a product company, right? So we build
Hmm.
platform, off-the-shelf software now offered as a service, software as a
Hmm.
service. And if you look at our cross-cloud service portfolio, it's built around 5 pillars. The first pillar is how to build applications the modern way. So that's Tanzu and the ability to deploy any Kubernetes environment, have a single place to develop and set policies for your
Hmm.
application, for your modern application. No VMware hypervisor required, is all cloud native. And this is very important because that we understand that customers are already in the cloud and are looking for ways to simplify the development environment. So that's number one. Number two is management. So we recently launched a new generation of our management products called ARIA, VMware ARIA, and that allows our customers to get a single picture, a single object model that works across their on-prem, private cloud, and any cloud out there. And that allows them to get an inventory of their assets and then being able to ask things like, how are they performing? How much are they costing us? How do I manage these? So that's the second pillar. The third pillar is VMware Cloud. And this is where customers have been struggling to bring their enterprise applications, the back-end applications to the cloud because they have to refactor them. With VMware Cloud, you deployed our cloud everywhere on any hyperscaler, and now you have a way to move hundreds of applications in months, not years, to the cloud because you have the same environment on-prem and in the cloud.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
The fourth pillar is security with NSX and Carbon Black. And the fifth pillar is end-user computing. How do you access these applications now across devices that you may or may not own as an enterprise, across networks that you may or may not operate? So that's kind of our 5 pillars of the cross-cloud services portfolio.
That's really interesting. I mean, you just started talking about cloud chaos, but now we're talking about more of an opportunity than just solving a particular problem. You know, do you often talk to your customers about the return on investment in this simplification and rationalization and combination of disparate architectures and systems? I mean, what are you seeing? We're going into a tough economic period. Can you talk at all about the economics of multi-cloud?
We've been, as a company, always known to be a company that does well for our customers in a downturn because we tend to simplify the environment and allow our customers to do more with less. And we believe in the multi-cloud world, more and more customers in 2022 will look for solutions to lower their costs and simplify the multi-cloud environment. And I think our cross-cloud services is the best solutions out there. The most, I should say, the more comprehensive solution coming from one vendor to build, manage, run, and secure and access any application across any cloud. So we believe that our customers will find a great benefit by adopting cross-cloud services to simplify their multi-cloud environment in 2022 and beyond.
That's really interesting. Do you think this is a new category that maybe you've created or has been created, or is this just the new way of doing IT and we all have to adjust to this reality?
And it is both. Right? It's a new way of doing IT, which is creating a new category. And of course, it's not just us, right? It would not be a category if it was just VMware. There are dozens and dozens of companies out there that are providing cross-cloud services, what the industry increasingly is calling multi-cloud services, or other analysts are calling it the super cloud. I can give a dozen examples. Snowflake, right? They provide data services that work across multiple clouds. The HashiCorp, a great partner and competitors of ours that provides management. Right? You have networking company that do cross-cloud networking and so on and so forth. So they're all great players, and I think they're providing great values to customers. I think our approach is to bring a platform approach to this problem, so that you don't have to buy multiple pieces from multiple vendors. You can buy a complete platform from VMware. But this is I think is the next 5 to 10 years of IT is going to be around solving the challenges of multi-cloud with the emergence of multi-cloud services from a variety of different vendors.
That's super exciting. Talk about a wonderful time to be a customer with so many options and choices at their disposal. I heard about the concept of Cloud Smart recently, and beyond, the marketing name. What is it? What's behind the messaging there, and how does it help customers?
We always come up with we always try to come up with simple framework to explain our customer journeys and what we can do to help them. And so Ragurama, our CEO, came out with this idea of Cloud Smart. And the idea is that in a multi-cloud world, if you apply the right technology like VMware cross-cloud services, you can achieve Cloud Smart. What is it? It's the ability to look at all your clouds as one, and then use the right cloud for the right applications, and so that you are getting the best of both worlds. Right? You have your application with some needs, and you can using cloud services. Say, I'm going to deploy it on Azure, or I'm going to deploy it on AWS or Oracle, or depending on the needs of the application. I'll give you an example. You have an application that makes heavy use of SQL Server. Okay, you want to put it on Azure. You have another one that uses ML, so you want to put it on Google, and so on and so forth. You don't want to be encumbered by all these differences. You want to be able to just say, okay, I look at this as a set of resources in the cloud that I'm going to pick and choose and apply to my applications as the application needs.
That's super exciting. It's been great to see you and your team back out in the world at VMworld and other events. What are you personally most excited about? We're just have a new year ahead of us. Are there any particular trips or travel or events or customers you're looking forward to seeing in January, February, March?
Look, it's a cliche, but if for everybody who builds product, like I've done and a lot of my colleagues do at VMware, there's nothing like being out there in the field, talking to customers, listening to customers. You gotta listen to understand what the pain is, and then map the two things. Like with that, we know what the technology can do from our great engineering team, and the technology is coming out of open source and the industry, and then kind of connect the dots. So I'm excited to go out there, and I believe in 2022 is the year when more and more customers are gonna be facing moving from the cloud chaos phase to how do I become cloud smart? What are the solutions that I have to put in place to turn multi-cloud from something that now is chaotic and costly into something that can actually accelerate my business? So that's what I'm excited about for next year.
Yeah, and I'm particularly excited about some of the vertical industries I work in. I do a lot in telecom. Your 5G push has been really amazing to see, the virtualization of the network, and I do a lot in healthcare where you're really making a difference, I know. And HIMSS is a big event coming up. I'm sure you'll be there. And also NRF, the big retail show, where retail, as we've seen, has just been completely transformed through the pandemic. Any industries that you particularly like to dive deep into? Because you're everywhere, so you must see it all.
Yeah, I think right now where we see the biggest opportunities for our customers is like financial services. They always tend to push the envelope because they have the resources, they have and they're used to use technology as the differentiator. So I think there's going to be a huge number of great exciting things going on in our financial services. Healthcare, as you said, because of the pandemic and because of the need for lowering costs and providing better experience to the patients, now we have an expectation that we always have our healthcare available. So that's my daughter. And then, so I think healthcare. But there's another interesting trends in a couple of areas. One, telco, manufacturing, healthcare, and retail. There's an interesting trend that we've been observing for the last few years, which is basically after 20 years of centralization of computing, for the first time in years, we see the decentralization of computing towards the edge. Like if you're managing a retail branch and there's nobody there, there's not much IT, but you have to have some computing there. If you're doing an hospital, a small clinic, and manufacturing, telco, all these towers out there. So I think that's very, very exciting. For 2022, is the whole edge computing in these verticals. Getting the computing closer to where it's consumed.
That's exciting. Well, a very quick discussion. I know you'll be speaking at length at many different venues and events next year. But before we go, I do have to ask you about your setup behind you. I'm intrigued. I assume you're a musician, or is this just for show?
So yeah, I'm a musician. I am an amateur musician.
Okay.
I went to the Conservatory of Music and I got my degree in music theory, and then I studied clarinet, which is not conducive to performances of pop music or rock music. And so over the years, I taught myself to play all the other instruments. And
Hmm.
these days, seems like the most music that I produce is parody for work, like the Multicloud anthem that we produce for
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
our cross-cloud services story through music. So
Well, what a wonderful way to escape and disconnect from tech.
oh yeah, it's a
Music
it's
is life.
but
So
it's a huge correlation, huge intersection between engineers and high tech people and music. I think because there is math in it, and it
yeah.
is a way to get into a flow, right? We all love when we get into a flow, and there's nothing like turning on a keyboard or a drums or a guitar and try to learn a song, and that will get you in the flow really quickly.
All right, Vittorio. Well, thanks so much for sharing your insights, and I can't wait to hear you play live at some point. We'll have to take a look at where you're going to be playing. And thanks so much for joining and sharing your insights and
No, thank you
analysis.
for the opportunity, and I wish you a fantastic 2022 as we, sorry, 2023 as we get into the new year. So
Yes,
thank you
yes. It's
for
going
having
to
me.
take some time to get used to, probably at least another few weeks. So we'll see you in 2023. All right.